Miss Pendleton, the owner of the newly opened 7th Street Mission, had explained she was still in the process of cleaning up the massive building that had once been a brewery. When the brewery had closed several years ago, gangs and thugs had taken over the unused building, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Bullet holes dotted one wall, while another had a jagged gap that had been hastily patched. The ceiling was coated in black soot, evidence someone had burned a coal fire for warmth. The floor had been swept, but a residue of grime remained. It was better than the streets, Elise reminded herself. Much better. Even more important, Miss Pendleton had promised her and Marianne one of the coveted seamstress positions in her workshop. Elise planned to put the promise to the test that very morning. She was desperate for a job. She'd promised Muti on her deathbed she'd take good care of her siblings, and so far, she'd failed to do so. Besides, she couldn't rely upon Miss Pendleton's or the 7th Street Mission's charity. Already Miss Pendleton had provided them several meals yesterday. She'd given them dry blankets and pallets, and she'd sent for a doctor to care for poor little Nicholas. At 1 year of age, the elements and lack of food had quickly taken a toll on the infant. Thankfully, except for dehydration, the doctor hadn't found anything wrong with the boy. After a day of rest and plenty of fluids, color had begun to return to his cheeks. "Stay with the children." Elise combed her hair back with her fingers and began to plait it. In the scant light coming through the window, her thick blonde hair appeared gray. She didn't doubt that it was. The dust of the streets ingrained every fiber. Marianne didn't argue. Even though she was only a year younger than Elise's 19 years, Marianne had always deferred to Elise. It made Elise's job of caring for her siblings easier. They listened to her without question. But the weight of responsibility could be unbearable at times, especially because she couldn't seem to take care of them the way they deserved. Elise's fingers snagged in her hair. They were chapped and red from the exposure to the rain, and stiff. She just prayed she could make her fingers work to do the detailed stitches that would be required of her. Marianne brushed her hands aside. "Let me do it." Elise relinquished her hair into Marianne's deft but tender fingers. In no time, Marianne had her hair braided, coiled, and pinned at the back of her head. Elise pressed a kiss against her sister's cheek in thanks, and then tiptoed across the room.